Well, thank you. So I'm going to start. I'm going to start with I want to thank Kevin for letting me help out, and let me read you guys some poetry. This first section is going to be pretty heavy with my book, Eating Yogurt with a Fork. So I hope you're ready for some poetry and to get weird. Okay. So this first poem is based off a semi-true story in that when I was young, my grandmother, who was sort of a recluse and I didn't see too much, she passed away on 4th of July. And I sort of like had an experience where I saw her far away from where she passed, which was in her house. And so it was weird, but it really stuck with me as a kid. It's a memory I have. So this poem's called How Not to Ghost Hunt. I've always wanted to speak with ghosts. In high school, I would have traded 1,000 friends for one ghostly voice. At 10, I saw my grandmother's ghost in our backyard, miles from her home, or even from where she passed. Our 4th of July came to an end with a bang and a whir. And in those smoky remains, she remained. In her chair, checkered blanket and all I could do was blink. And then, having just seen Ghostbusters 2, I used an imaginary proton thingamajig to capture her. She huffed once, twice, and vanished. I thought of all the things a ghost would have a sense of humor. Beetlejuice was one, and he did, even if he was a bit of a dick. Now, as I call to spirits in virtually every room I find myself alone in, I imagine saying hello would have been a better first move. So I've been in a pretty successful relationship, basically most of our adult lives with my wife. So I don't know like that kind of loss really, but I often sort of deal with what would happen if, for some reason. So I was thinking about, somebody asked me if I was marooned on an island, what would I want? And I was like, well, my wife. Which just wasn't the answer he wanted, but so then it created this. It created this poem. It's called Marooned. Marooned. If this were an island, I'd dig my feet into the sand, ask you to dance with the crabs, our only pals, lock lips, and howl at the crashed waves. If this were an island, I'd fashion you a bikini out of coconuts, sit in the sun against a dying tree, and learn to knit. I'll let you lick the salt from my face. Kid, the moon and all the stars are laughing at us anyway. If this were an island, I let you bury me in the sand, in hopes you'll tease me with a sandy, seductive dance moves. As the sun spots and rings before my eyes, and when I say don't stop at my head, I'll only be half serious. Okay. So this is another one where it's based on something that actually happened, and then I took it and very much made it a fictional thing. It's about when my first cat, Spinach. I'm pretty great at naming cats. So it's when my first cat, Spinach, he didn't die, but he vanished, and he was probably dead. So, yeah. So this poem's called Why Cats Can't Go to Heaven. Yeah. When I was 12, I found a cat hidden under the wheel of a Lay's delivery truck. As if he had seen the best of life had to offer, and opted out. This, of course, didn't occur to me until much later. When I brought him home, his gray fur dirty, nose pushed into my neck, I convinced my mother to name him Chocolate because it pissed my sister off. She was 15 at the time and ready to be pissed off the bat. She threatened to pull all Chocolate's hair out and my hair, come to think of it. But in the end, she loved us. On the couch, forgotten cartoons on the tube, or in the basement as our parents fought. Chocolate wasn't with us long before an open door allowed him the tire he was looking for. This time, a school bus that was very much in motion. We stayed home that day as my mom explained death and dying over hot tea, and no, honey, Chocolate won't be in heaven. Cats, you see, they don't go to heaven. Years later, I would realize bullshit was the word I longed for, searched for, as a boy, in my arms as the tears rolled down. Okay. That's not a good one. Sorry. This one's called Shoulder. It's another one where I try to imagine having a fight with my wife. It's called Shoulder. She bought me a ham. It was a peace offering of sorts. Even offered to cook it, which I declined rather graciously, I thought. Her eyes didn't appear to agree. To disagree, we used to say. Seal it with a kiss and a roll on the floor. We'd laugh at the reddened cheeks and blistered legs. That night, I stuck it in the oven. Her ham, glazed to perfection, alone. I ate it naked. I don't know how I'm doing on time, but one more? Cool. So I saw Patti Smith, and she was amazing, and like she's cooler than I will ever be. So I saw her, and then I wrote this poem. Because like I said, I can live twice her lifetime and never be as cool as she is.
Cool.
Thank you. This is called Patti Smith Blues. If I was wise, I could be old. If I was tall, I could be a cowboy in dirty jeans. If I was old, I'd know and know and know. If I had a generation, I'd still be alone. When I dream of being cool, it's always Patti Smith fucking the hell out of James Dean. If I could play guitar, I'd still fake the shit out of it. If I had a passion, I'd rip my heart out of my goddamn throat. If the world was really our oyster, we'd still be sick and dying. If I was a rocket ship, we could all die happy among the stars. And if I could breathe, I'd still kiss away your tears.